Okay, imagine this. You're driving along in your high-tech Chevrolet Corvette with a computer-controlled windows and computer-controlled door lock, and all of a sudden the car bursts into flames and you have to get out of that car real quick or you're going to burn to death. And the engine computer decides it's not going to open the door or roll down the windows. And in your haste, you jam the seatbelt and you can't undo the seatbelt. What are you going to do? Well, you could pray to Jesus. Or you could pull out your Smith & Wesson first response knife with built-in seatbelt cutter and window breaker. Cut your seatbelt, smash the window, and escape. Well, at least that's how it's supposed to work, but not quite. I'm going to show you why. So the number one thing about this knife is the seatbelt cutter. So the first thing I'm going to want to demonstrate is the seatbelt cutter on this chunk of seatbelt. So I've got it gripped in a vise so I get a good grip on it. And let's try and cut this seatbelt with the seatbelt cutter. Well, it plain and simply doesn't cut a seatbelt. And the problem is, if you look at the blade here, it doesn't have enough of an angle. The blade should be at a steeper angle like this. Problem is, it's too much like this, so it's about a 45-degree angle to what it's cutting, and the angle just isn't there. It's badly designed. So the next feature we want on a knife like this is a glass breaker that works. And if we look at the tip here, it's kind of rounded. And it's made out of the same material as the rest of the knife. Normally I would expect this to be made out of tungsten carbide, and it should also have a pretty sharp kind of point there. And it's rounded and not sharp at all. I'm not going to test it on a window because I really don't have a spare window to test it on. But I don't think it's going to do a very good job of smashing a window to get you out of that car you're trapped in. I suppose if you hammered on a window really hard you could do it, but it would take a lot of effort. Next feature I really don't like about with this knife is the return spring. Say you open it just a little bit like that. It doesn't go back. It should snap back down. Here I have a knife made by Cold Steel. Cold Steel knows how to make good pocket knives, and if I open the blade a little bit like this, it pops back down all on its own. So imagine this is in your pocket and you brush against it with your hand and you open it a little bit, well, it's going to close itself. Whereas with this Smith & Wesson thing, if you open it a little bit, it's going to stay open. Can you imagine having this in your pocket next to the family jewels in this state? I sure wouldn't want to carry this thing. Now another thing about it is the knife edge. It's rather dull. In fact, you really got to sharpen this yourself. Whereas if you were to buy the Cold Steel knife, this knife is razor sharp. You don't need to sharpen it. It's already sharpened from the factory. Cold Steel, they know how to make a good knife. Smith & Wesson, they could have put an extra machine in there and put a proper edge on here that would be sharp, but they couldn't be bothered. They're leaving it for you to sharpen. So in conclusion, I wouldn't use this as a rescue tool. I'd find something else. This thing's not worth it. Now you're probably wondering, why do I have a hot air engine running in the background of this video? Well, that thing runs on hot air. This knife is nothing but hot air. They make a good combination, I think.